Hello, assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning. All right, we're back with another class. This is going to be a short, simple class explaining on how to construct a sentence using the verb. Okay. One thing that you should know is I'm starting with the verb because verb is like the most important thing, the most important element in a sentence. So based on your work, based off your assignments that you sent in last week, I've decided that I should be focusing on this because most of you, if not all, most of you basically shown some weaknesses in terms of constructing sentences, especially when it comes to verb. So for this lesson, I've decided to explain a bit, to go into details regarding verb to help you guys string or write a good sentence. This will be especially helpful when it comes to writing essay, especially for year 6. Okay, so for today's lesson, this will be it, verb. This will be a short and simple lesson, so bear with me, okay? Alright, first things first, before we proceed, I'd like to establish our learning objectives of the day. Right, number 1, you should be able to read, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to read and understand 6 out of 6 verbs correctly. Not much, just 6. If you can add in on your own later, that will be really good. And number 2, you should be able to write at least 8 out of 10 simple sentences correctly using the correct verbs. Okay, so by the end of this lesson, you should be able to achieve both of these objectives, simple objectives really, to read and understand the verbs and to be able to write simple sentences using the correct verbs. Okay? Okay, before we start off, I think it's fair to explain a bit what makes a good sentence. What should you add in a sentence that will help you to write a good sentence? Okay, first off, I want you to imagine a robot. See here, this cute little robot. Wait. Okay, imagine sentence as a robot. So in order to make a good robot, you have to have like the arms, there's both arms, the legs, and also the head, right? And most importantly, in order for you to have a good robot, I think you have to have like a heart. It's not really a beating heart, like a mechanical heart. So this right here will represent the heart. Okay. Now I want you to focus. Imagine a sentence is your robot, and in order for you to create a good robot to walk and to be able to move, this robot needs to have arms, legs, and head, like I explained earlier. So imagine each of these parts as a part in a sentence. For example, a simple sentence, just a sentence, it consists of a verb. See? A simple sentence can actually start with only a verb. So that's why I'm writing the verb as the heart of a robot, because without this heart, your robot can't move. The same goes for the sentence. Without a verb, you can't really string a good sentence. So a verb is really an important element in a sentence. That is the reason why I'm starting a lesson today with the verb. Okay, another part that makes a good sentence is the noun, the adjectives, maybe the leg here, the adjective, the adverb, and pronoun, and maybe some object. All of these, remember, all of these, the noun, adjective, adverb, pronoun, object, I will go through later on. For today's focus, for today's highlight, you should be focusing on verb. Okay. But one thing's for sure, in order for you to have a good sentence, you need to have this: noun, verb, adjective, adverb, pronoun, object, and everything. Okay, so this is what makes a good sentence. Okay, so for today, we're gonna start off with the verb. See here, verb. Because as I've mentioned earlier, it is like the heart of a sentence. It is what makes your sentence work. It gives meaning to your sentence. Okay. So in order for you, to allow you to get a better understanding, to help you understand a bit better, I'm gonna show you a simple video. So let's just watch it together.
What is a verb? A verb is a word that tells an action. A verb tells what we do. Jump, run, play. Those are all verbs. He sits in the grass. The word sits is a word that tells an action. Sits is a verb. I jump in the air. The word jump is a word that tells an action. Jump is a verb. I run outside. The word run is a word that tells an action. Run is a verb. She reads a book. The word reads is a word that tells an action. Reads is a verb. The kids play in the sand. The word play is a word that tells an action. Play is a verb. They eat ice cream. The word eat is a word that tells an action. Eat is a verb. The boy sleeps in his bed. The word sleeps is a word that tells an action. Sleeps is a verb. You can find verbs in sentences. Let's read the sentence below. The dog chews a bone. The word choose is a verb. Can you find the verb? We run up the hill. The word run is a verb. He climbs the steps. The word climbs is a verb. We swim in the pool. The word swim is a verb. See if you can find verbs in the sentences you read.
So there you have it, a simple explanation on what verb is all about. In the video, they give you like few examples. Like number one would be maybe he sits in grass. See, I'm sure by now you should be able to pinpoint where the verb is. For example, here the verb, the action that we do is, the action that the object, the subject in the sentence. Oh no, I'm just gonna, the action that the subject in the sentence does is sits. So this will be the verb. See? Okay. Another example it gave like I jump, I think. Right. She reads. Okay, she reads a book. Let's go with the she reads a book. She reads a book. See, by now you should be able to pinpoint that the verb in the sentence is read. Yeah. Okay, I think some of you might be wondering, sir, why is there an S here in the sentence? That's because verb here actually depends on the subject. Whenever you write a sentence, you have to keep in mind that a verb, it depends on the subject. If the subject is one, singular in nature, one, the verb should have an S. See? Okay, let's say if the subject is more than one, lebih daripada seorang, then wait, I'm just gonna show you another example. If the subject is more than one, for example, they is mereka, like, so more than one. They eat ice cream. This is the example from the the example from the video, I think, the sentence. They eat ice cream. Notice the verb. Notice the subject here. More than one. Mereka. So ramai, more than one. And notice the verb here. Does it have any S? No, it doesn't. The verb here, it doesn't have any S because the subject here is more than one. So keep that in mind. When it comes to verb, it depends on the subject. It depends on the subject. So be extra careful when it comes to this. This is one of the mistakes that you guys did last week. Many of you actually didn't write it correctly. The verb you write didn't really depends. It didn't really agree with the subject here. Okay, so be extra careful. Okay, so another example, one last example, I think, just to reinforce your understanding. Another example, this time I'm going to use my own example, not from the video you saw just now. Sir Sulaiman, Sir Sulaiman write a letter. Okay, so you should be able to identify the verb, which is see, I'm making a mistake here. There's a mistake here in the verb. If you can identify it, you are really a great student. Okay, here I did a mistake where my subject here, subject is actually one, but I did a mistake. If you notice, I didn't write an S on the verb. Okay, so be careful. So it should be Sir Sulaiman writes a letter. This should be the correct sentence. Okay, the verb here depends on the subject. Okay, another example. This one will give you the correct example. I play football. This is a good example for me to actually highlight this. Okay, see the subject here. Subject here is I. If you notice, is only one person, right? One person. But why doesn't the verb here has any S? This is a good thing for you to know. Okay, I and you. Remember, I and you are special cases. Special. It takes the rule of singular. Where even though it is it takes the rule of plural. Even though it is only one, it is singular, one person, but it doesn't really add, you don't really have to add s in the verb, because as I've mentioned, they are special. They are of a special case. It takes the rule of plural, so you don't really have to write an s on the verb. I and you, remember it. I and you. For example, kalau you you play football. Same here. You don't have to add an s. Okay. Kalau if it is other subject other than I or you, which are singular, for example, as I've mentioned earlier, he is singular, but it is not a special case such as I or you. You have to put in s in the verb. Remember that. He plays football. Kalau if it is I or you, I first, you don't have to put you don't have to put s in the sentence. So I play football. Same goes for you. I play football. Same goes for you. You play football. Special case I and you. Okay. Okay, so what I want you to do now, your task, you've seen the examples, you've heard my explanation. What I want you to do is to come up with 10 sentences using the verb that you've seen in the video, or maybe you can use your own verb. Think of your own verbs, 10 verbs for you to write 10 sentences. You may write it in a Microsoft Word file, or if you don't have access to a good computer or laptop or phone, just write it in your exercise book and snap a picture of it and send it back to me in Google Classroom. Simple. Okay, so there you have it. The verbs, and the task that you have to do is to write 10 sentences using the correct verb. Just use simple sentences, I don't mind. We'll start off with a simple sentence. 10 simple sentences. Try to keep in mind the rules that I've mentioned earlier, that I've explained earlier. The I, the you, and the verb that depends on the subject. Keep that in mind and try to create 10 simple sentences. Okay, for instance, I will give you one example. Example is simple je. Let me think. I'm just going to use I jump into the pool. See? Now you got one correct sentence. Sentence as a verb, as a subject, and voila. Okay, simple sentence. You can even write like short, a really short one. For example, she jumps. See, this is already a correct sentence actually. As a verb, as a subject. Okay, but because I'm teaching year 5 and year 6, at least please give me a better sentence than this. Okay, maybe you can add in she jumps into into the river. Okay, this at the end of a sentence, this is what you call object actually, but I'm not going to focus on this today. I'm just going to focus on verbs. Okay, so there you have it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you understand it. And that will be it for today. I'll see you in another lesson, and peace.